What's your legal situation? What are your plans at the moment?
I'm in Russia. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Have that as headline check. I'm not in Russia. My plans, everyone's telling me to run and everyone's telling me not to come home. I'm coming home. I'm not running. I don't believe I'm on trial. I believe the British judiciary is on trial. The problem that they have is 44 million people have watched that film. That means there's 44 million people, including influential people across the world, that know that I told the truth. If they wish to lock me up for that, lock me up. They will lock me up. We've seen what they're doing with the current state of things. Will I be in danger? Yes, I will. Am I worried? Yeah, totally. Totally worried. Worried for me, worried for my family. I'm in court on the 28th and 29th of October. So I currently don't have to be in the UK. I'm, again, something I haven't talked about. In the last 7 days, they've knocked at the police have gone to my family's addresses, including my mother and father's, and told them their lives are in danger. So I've had a hell of a lot to deal with. Do you know what it's like sitting somewhere, knowing that you called for calm, knowing that you held a totally peaceful rally twice in a row, knowing that you haven't instigated violence or attacks against mosques, but watching as the entire world's media say you have? There's no evidence to it. No evidence at all. They are putting me in danger. They're putting a target on me. Since then, certain Somalians have said they want to kill me. There's been Muslims making videos with machine guns. All of them have been lied to. They resurrected a dead organisation of the English Defence League that hasn't been around for a decade, and they told the entire British Muslim community they're on about misinformation. They're on about prosecuting for people for misinformation. The British government and its politicians and police forces told the whole Muslim community of the UK that the English Defence League was coming to attack their mosques. There is no English Defence League. There hasn't been for a decade. The British public were on the streets, but what they've successfully managed to do by labelling everyone as far right, by putting an ideological spin on the reason people are angry, they haven't once had to talk about open border mass immigration. They haven't once even had to address why people are angry. It's just they're angry because they're far right and they're racist. No. Yeah, and they've had a success. It's been a total successful campaign by the government. If you look at what they've done, there was an uprising on the streets of the UK, and rather than have to address one of those issues, the Labour Party, not one have they had to address. What they've instead done is turn it on the British public, then have show trials in order to intimidate and silence the British public into saying you do not get angry. This has been our January 6th moment. And right on the end of us having the most successful cultural revolution organisation the country's seen, what they've just blocked it, totally blocked it, used the mass media, used the politicians, used their weapons to totally deceive and lie. And again, I ask, if I've done all these things, and I keep asking Piers Morgan, I know you was on the show with him last week, why don't you sit down with me, Piers, and show me where I've instigated violence or attacks against mosques? Show me what I've said that's encouraged violence. Do you know what? I've heard one news reporter say, well, he said that there was attacks by Somalians against a woman in Ipswich. Yeah, that was the Times newspaper. Yeah, I quoted the Times newspaper. How dare I? So no one's even been able to show me what I've said that's misinformation, because I haven't. I wasn't part of the campaign to push it was a Syrian refugee. I remained silent on that fact. In fact, I come out and corrected certain falsehoods. Yeah? But again, what the people need to understand is, in the 7 days prior to the riot, 7 days prior to the riots, I don't know if you're aware that today there's been a terrorist attack. Will I get done for misinformation in that? A migrant has gone and stabbed a bishop walking out of an army barracks in the Republic of Ireland whilst muttering about the Irish Army's involvement in the Middle East. Yeah, that's what's come out right now today in Galway, I believe, in Ireland. Now, in the 7 days prior, and this is very important that people understand what built up the frustrations of the British public. Yeah, we've watched since October 7th as Hamas have took over the capital city, calls for jihad by mosques and imams, desecration of war memorials, no arrests. We're continually told by the police we can't arrest people for burning flags. This is freedom of the speech. They've committed no crimes. So we've watched all of that. And then we sit and we watch as a migrant gets off a motorbike. He's been in the country 6 months. He waits for an army officer in uniform. He doesn't attack anyone who's not in uniform, even though people who aren't in uniform are there. And he butchers that army officer. This doesn't even make lead news. I remember making a video next day saying, why am I not watching this on the news? An army officer has been attacked in full uniform and stabbed to pieces. It's not even making the news. What's going on? And then we get told, of course, it's mental health. So that incident is sidelined as mental health. The British public are watching because we're able to tell them actually an army officer's been attacked in a ferocious knifing. His wife comes out of the house and jumps on the man that's attacking him. The man that's attacking him doesn't stab his wife. He continues stabbing the officer. The only person he attacks is in a military uniform. Very similar to what happened to Lee Rigby when he was beheaded by Michael Adebolajo. They didn't attack the bystanders in the street because they said that they're not the targets. The military are the targets for the British involvement in Muslim lands. So this looks very similar. Yeah? Why don't I believe that the police and government, why they tell us it's mental health? And again, anyone listening to this, go on Google now and type in Russell Square attack. You will see an attack in Russell Square. A Muslim goes into his mosque in the morning, says he wants to kill non-Muslims. Yeah, they don't report him to the police. They say a prayer for him. What he then does, he leaves. He leaves the Muslim community. So he don't come out with a mental attack and start stabbing anyone. He leaves the Muslim community. He travels to Russell Square. He stabs 7 non-Muslims. He murders a American citizen who's a tourist. He gets stabbed to death. In between each of these attacks, he shouts Allah Akbar. Now, try and find this on the terrorist attack list. You won't, because it wasn't deemed a terrorist attack. It was an incident of mental health, like so many others. And then when they have these mental attacks, they don't go and kill anyone that's Muslim. It's non-Muslims that are killed. So we don't believe them. So this happens. Then we have the attack. Then we have the riots up in Leeds, where basically a Romanian child went into hospital with a fractured skull. Now we have protections for children where if there's questions about the parenting, which I don't believe the parents were at home when this child had a fractured skull, so they see it as neglect, they went in to take the children as protection, yeah? So they take the children. As they do that in this close-knit Muslim and Romanian gypsy community, the Muslims and the Romanians, both of them, because there's evidence it was both of them, come out and burn police cars, buses, and attack the police. Now, the images that the British public watched were as the police run away. They didn't get their dogs out, horses out. They didn't come in with batons. They literally legged it and left them to burn the estate. Now, as they burn the estate, an English mother comes out of her house the next night when all the crowds are there again and starts saying, will you please go in your houses? Stop causing the problems. I have to live here. The police arrest the English mother. They take her away. So what we've seen, and then the Romanian gypsies make a statement saying, unless the children are given back tonight, you are going to talk about these riots for 100 years in this country. Now, as soon as they said that, I put a post out on X saying, guarantee they give the kids back. I know they're going to, because this is what works in Britain. By that later that night, the children are given back to the parents. There's no riots. All the gypsies and all the Muslims go off the streets. Yeah. So this is what the public are watching. Then, all in this quick 7 days, then what we see is a Muslim at Manchester Airport is kicked in the head. You may have seen it go viral. He's kicked in the head by a police officer whilst laying on the floor. It doesn't look great. Yeah, it looks ferocious by the police officer, but we have no context as to what happens before that. Now, what we then see are thousands of Muslims target Rochdale police station, where the Muslims have been arrested. And we then find out 3 officers have been injured, including a policewoman who's had a broken nose. So the Muslims come to the police station, they attack the police station. There's not a police officer in sight. There's no dogs, there's no horses, there's no riot shields. Literally, the Muslims are given free rein. We then hear Muslim commentator after commentator in the UK threaten the establishment and say they better prosecute the police officer. Then the police come out and give a statement saying they've released the Muslims, they're released, they're not on remand in jail. Even though you've seen all these people being remanded for Facebook posts, they're released. And then they say a criminal investigation has been opened against the police officer. So they give the Muslim community what they're demanding. The next day, we see the video released of what happened prior to him getting kicked in the head. Guess what happened? The Muslims violently attacked the police in unprovoked attack. I mean, punching and beating police officers, which is straight away you'd get remanded if you do that. How are they out on the streets? And then the police had already given a statement saying they'd been released because of insufficient evidence. Well, now we're watching a video. You had the evidence. You were about to sacrifice the police officer who actually done a fabulous job. Literally, he gets attacked from behind. He pulls the man down who's been tasered and instantly kicks him. He didn't even have a second to think, yeah? And he's an armed response police officer. So these Muslims violently attack him, could have got hold of their guns. So the public have watched all of this and they're asking the questions as to, why did you release them? Why are you prosecuting the police officer that done nothing wrong? It's the whole It's the whole situation again from the United States. It's the whole situation with George Floyd. They've surrendered and they've given the police officer over for a lawful arrest. Whether it looked bad or not, it was within the law. And that's what they've done to this police officer. So this all happens. What message have the British government told the country? If you riot, we'll listen. That's what they told them. And then an attack happens straight after this. So you have to understand the prelude to what's happened, yeah? And you have to understand that attack after attack and aggression after aggression has not been dealt with. The police have not made arrests against the Islamic community. They literally run away from them. And literally at the same time as this, they attack British protesters, whether it be on St. George's Day. Now, yesterday was Independence Day for Pakistan. The scenes we've seen across our country are the police dancing with Pakistanis, celebrating Pakistani Day. Well, that's not what we saw for our St. George's Day. We saw police with batons and riot shields, attacking Englishmen, dragging their St. George's flags off of them and beating them. So what you have is a British public who feel totally oppressed by their government and police force. And if they didn't feel that now, then as we're watching people be imprisoned for comments on Facebook, many of them anti-establishment comments, you're putting people in jail for anti-establishment comments, whereas you haven't put people in jail or arrested them for calls for jihad, for calls from the river to the sea. Oh, that's legit. But you dare to say Allah, who is Allah, you're getting 18 months. So they've actually ingrained on the world stage two-tier policing and two-tier judiciary. And the public have had the opportunity to see exactly what I've known for 15 years of my activism. I know that we have a two-tier policing and two-tier judiciary. And in the last 7 days, that judiciary has been totally weaponized. And the target is the British public who are standing up. And yes, there were men committing crimes, and yes, there were riots. And if you wanted to deal with them, but how come the 4 Muslims who got arrested, or the 3 Muslims, they still haven't even faced prosecution? Yet women are in jail for Facebook posts within 7 days. What is going on?